First Watch with Sheriff Mark Daniels on KWCD Bisbee Sierra Vista. Hosted by Public Information Officers Carol Kappas and Grady Butler. First Watch is brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
And welcome to your Friday. I'm Grady Butler, and with me is Carol Kappas and Sheriff Mark Daniels. Good morning.
Good morning, Cochise County.
Hello, everyone.
So we need to talk first about last week's audio problems we had on the show.
Yeah, I guess people didn't hear us real well, and there was a big humming in their radio and technology we had no control on, Grady.
Yeah, it's because of there was a broken mic last week, so we've got that kind of squared away. We're making some changes, but they're having growing pains here at the radio station because they've moved the studios around.
We got new microphones, though.
Yeah.
These are monster microphones, like the ESPN commercial.
Professional.
Yes.
All right, well, let's start today with we've got a nice list of things we want to talk about here today. But let's start with something maybe a little controversial, and that's House Bill. It's 2060.
This is the bill, and we had an event last Friday night in Tombstone that was well attended. Reference border security. I want to thank everybody that came out for that. But this new House bill states if you come across the border illegally, it's criminal trespass, and it puts the responsibility and authority under sheriffs and police chiefs and troopers to address the law, which means you come across illegally, that we can substantiate that you came across the border illegally between the two port of entries, that we can charge you for criminal trespass. And again, the general review of the bill states that, which is going to the people in November. Now, I understand the spirit, I understand the intent, and I understand the frustration, and that comes from the federal government and not securing the border. No doubt about it. I've said it. Sheriffs have said it. The lawmakers have said it. And so we get that. But putting it on us causes some challenges. Let me just say that. And I want to be real. And sheriffs came together with the lawmakers. We shared the same thing. So I'm just being transparent with those listening. Is the fact that if you come across the border illegally, we charge you for a misdemeanor. If you fail to deport or fail to agree to go back once it's confirmed, which is also on the shoulders of a sheriff and a local judge, that you spend 30 days in our jail. Well, first of all, let's look at our jail. We just got the jail district, which is being challenged, but we have a jail that's built for the allocated number of inmates on average we see here. So even the new jail, which we have a company out right now that's looking at it, 400 to 450 beds, which is a future growth project for it too. You start taking people coming across the border legally, there goes your bed space. So what I do with the child molesters, the murderers, the robbers, the violent criminals that need to be locked up, which I support 100%, what do we do with them? You can see the problem already. And this is an unfunded mandate, which means there's not money to buy more deputies or go out and hire more deputies. There's not money for the criminal justice system, for bed space, for jails, all the stuff in there. So we have sheriffs have expressed this to lawmakers. Are saying, don't worry about it. We have a meeting next week with Governor Hobbs to address where does she stand on this. I know she probably doesn't like the bill based on she vetoed something similar that came out of the House and Senate. What is she going to do if this bill passes? Will she support it? And it's the will of the people. I've had that asked me too. Well, just don't enforce it. Well, when our republic makes a bill, that means the sheriffs don't have discretion. We have to enforce the rule of law. So again, I don't want to be in the losing end of this for my citizens that expect us to do that. I want to do what's right. I want to do what the people's wishes are and the expectations, but we have to have a budget. And right now, Cochise County can't afford it. So where does this money come from? This is the dilemma I want to make sure everybody hears, because if I don't get a budget from the state, the governor doesn't support the budget, what do we do here? You can see we're going to be handlocked. And everybody's going to be, well, the sheriff's not doing his job. Well, the sheriff is always going to do his job, but I got to have a budget to do it, and then I have to prioritize. If I don't have a budget, I have to prioritize, and that's where it gets really complicated.
And then added on to that, then there's the executive order that was signed this week.
And then you got President Biden. And just for people to know, and I think, Carol, you're going to put this out on our Facebook, national sheriffs came out, and I'll read the heading. Sheriffs declare president's action to secure the border too little, too late. And so you'll see that on our Facebook page. And here's the problem with that. For 3.5 years, your America's sheriffs, to include myself, have worked trying to get the White House, President Biden, to work with us. and not just me, but sheriffs around the country that lead a lot of our initiatives. Let's get in a room, let's talk about it, let's discuss it. Same thing I've told Senator Sinema, Senator Kelly, and all our congressional people is if you don't have community leadership at the table, mayors, sheriffs, others, guess what happens? You're not on the menu, which means you're probably not going to have any. You're going to see the final product whether you like it or not. So that's something we have to fix. Problem with this executive bill is we were not there. I'll just state that up front. But second of all, when it comes to putting this together, this executive, but for 3.5 years, the president, 51% of Congress has not acknowledged the problem, have not engaged the problem, and have not prioritized the problem. And now, let's just be real, a few months before election, we come out with this one. And the problem with this is there's a lot of operational discretion built in this. What that means is, so after 7 consecutive days of an average of 2,500 per day, then based on operational discretion, they can close the border. The border is not closed right now. The executive order has a lot of discretion in it, and that's where it's concerning because of 3.5 years we haven't seen a priority with this. But the other aspect of it, the CBP One app, where people apply online, then they fly into the country and they land on U.S. soil and they're here. The parole, the unaccompanied minor, the family units, all that doesn't change. And I don't think this is going to change either. We deal with gotaways in this county that are being smuggled and trafficked by the cartels at high fees. They're making billions of dollars exploiting this border. I don't think their will is going to change with an executive order that we haven't seen action on. It's only words. Again, it's a feel-good headline that makes people feel safe. But let's see where it goes. We're early on in this. I don't want to be the critic on this, but I do have my reservations about it, I will say.
And I have a border update on our list to talk about today. Is there anything else beyond that you wanted to put in?
Well, I'll say this, Grady and Carol, is the fact that our criminal interdiction team, our border teams, we're still out there. We're working in partnership, state, local, and federal. We're doing everything we can. Have we seen a decrease in smuggling? Maybe slightly. Let me just say that. Slightly, I think we've seen a little bit of a decrease, but that's consistent along the southwest border right now, and it has been, not because of the executive order. It's just kind of gone down here the last few weeks. But they're still coming through the county. They're still running from us. You can see on our Facebook page, and we put some sample arrests out there that Carol and you do, Grady. And so, yeah, the concerns, the vulnerabilities are still in place. The cartels have not stopped and shut their business and said, okay, we've had enough, we're going to retire. No, they're in business. They're very active in Cochise County.
And with that, we've got a couple of good things going on in Cochise County, too, that we want to highlight. And one of them are shout-outs to Wyatt Berry, who's the new chief of Huachuca City, and April Sadoff.
April just got announced this week that she is the new chief of adult probation. She's been there a long time. She's been a good friend to law enforcement, state, local, and federal, and she's just been a good friend. So congratulations, April. We wish you well on your new assignment. She was the second, I believe, over at APO. So, again, we look forward to working with her and seeing her leadership grow from there now.
And another fun thing that's happening is the Cochise County Sheriff Charity Ride. It comes up in November, but right now we're taking applications to see who's going to get that really cool money.
That is. Till the end of June, we're taking applications. A very simple application. It's on our social media page. Please go in there. It'll take you 5-10 minutes to fill it out. But, yeah, we get about a dozen applications. So, yeah, we're looking for applications. We get a lot of repetitive ones, and thank you guys and gals for coming back for us. But it's always good to see. We want to help everybody, not just a select few. So, again, if you're eligible, put in for it. We're looking for 501c and nonprofits. If you're eligible, go ahead and put in, and we'll consider those at the end of June.
And the website you can find those on is cochise.az.gov/sheriff.
And one of the other events that you went to was the Sierra Vista Chamber of Commerce, actually rebranded. So now they're the Sky Island Regional Partnership Group. And I think that everybody there was excited for the whole prospect of moving forward.
Let me give their executive director, Melanie. She's done an amazing job. I remember when she got hired there, I sat down with her, and even before she got hired, her and I talked. But bottom line is she has taken that to the next level, truly raised the bar for the chamber. And one of the reasons they changed it was it's not just the city of Sierra Vista. It's actually a regional chamber. So she wanted to make sure that reflects that, and I give her kudos for that. So it was a well-attended event. When I got there, she goes, "Hey, thanks for coming, Sheriff." And I said, "I'm here for the food, and where's the islands? I want to get on that island." So joking with her, but again, Melanie, congratulations for doing that.
Where is the Cochise County Sheriff's Office helicopter?
You know, people have asked that question. I'm glad you're asking that, Grady, because it is in Texas right now getting upgrades for equipment so we can fly it at night. So we're putting night vision on it, a bunch of other equipment on it, radios. I mean, we're decking it out. I mean, we want to make sure when that helicopter's flying that it has the adequate equipment and resources, technology that it can do what we bought it to do, and that is help people in need, those that run from us, that we can talk to the respective agencies. Whatever it may be, when we're looking for a missing person, we have the equipment. So, again, that's where it's at. It'll be back probably the first week in July is what we're guessing.
And so coming up next week, we have a sad anniversary to talk about, and it's the Monument Fire. It's already been 13 years since that happened. And we are living fires again now. And we have Dan Deshawn, Emergency Services Director, coming next after you, but to talk about that. Let people know about fires and fire safety and what, we have to do.
Extremely dry out there right now. I mean, and we've had a lot of fires over the last several weeks. I mean, we've had some good citizens doing the right thing, getting these fires out. Majority are very guarded and very vigilant, when it comes to burning. But again, it doesn't take a whole lot to get a fire going. And once it gets going, first thing I'd always ask people is take care of your properties, cut your grass. Be vigilant. What vulnerabilities do you have in your property? Because if a fire comes at you, the Monument Fire taught us a lot of things. That started on the border down by Montezuma. And within, 3 days, Carol? I was working the first day it broke out. Within 3 days, it was already Ramsey Road. We lost over 70 structures during that week event. It was horrifying for our community. We learned so much from our radio communications, our regional approach, police, fire working together. I mean, you name it, and we've put all that forward. It's made us so much better in public safety here, our public safety families. But now we're better prepared. We just need the community to work with us on that, and 90%, 99% are right there with us. So thank you for doing that.
And one of the things that we're going to make sure we talk to Dan Deshawn about is the Ready, Set, Go program. So, and how to sign up for alerts. So we're going to ask him all about that coming up in just a few. Right now, let's talk about another sad thing that happened. There was an officer killed in the Gila River Police Department.
It was, and what was really sad, first of all, let me just say, my prayers and condolences to him and his family. I mean, what a horrible thing. And to the Gila River law enforcement family up there and all law enforcement, these rural communities like that, we all know each other. We all work together. We drink sodas together. And we have lunch together. So when we lose a family member like that's hard. So my prayers are on for all of them up there. And what's really sad is his dad actually died in the line of duty also. I mean, just horrific. And he was on field training. He was very young into his career, and just an awful. And wow, I'm speechless. I am when I hear these stories. It's just so sad. It hits our whole state like that. And so again, just our thoughts here from the Cochise County Sheriff's Office and all our law enforcement family down here, from state, local, and federal, to their family up there.
And do you have a stop of the week?
I always have a stop of the week. I always have a stop of the week, and come up the highway the other day, and this motorcycle went flying by me. Now, folks, I got a new car. My other one had almost 200,000 miles on it. It was on its third transmission, and Fleet said, "You can't drive that out of the county no more, Sheriff. We put enough Band-Aids on that thing." I said, "Okay, time to give it up." I like my old car. Everybody knew it. And they waved, I waved, but I got a new one. It's a tan. It's called an Empire Metallic Beige. I'm not trying to hide from anybody. It's a really pretty color. Pretty color, excuse me. But some people still haven't caught that. It's the only one in town that's got that color. But this motorcycle come flying by me, in and out. I thought he was going to put the bike on its side a couple of times. He just wasn't a good rider, and I'll explain that just in a minute. Plus, for speeding. So I get him stopped, walked up, and he gets off the bike. He goes, I know. And so I'm talking to him and asking for his driver's license, and he gives me his driver's license. But you got to drive a motorcycle in Arizona, you got to have that endorsement called M, motorcycle. He did not have that. He goes, I haven't got that. I haven't gone to the course to learn. I said, but you're speeding out here. I said, you're going to put that bike on your side and you're going to cause an accident. Yeah, you got a point there, Sheriff. You got a point. So we dealt with him. But I got to give you another story from yesterday. So I'm at an intersection here, coming into another meeting. I had a meeting at 4:30, coming into town from my office. And so I'm at the intersection, and the car next to me, and I won't say what Tucson media it is, it's all marked out, is next to me. Obviously, they didn't recognize that metallic beige, Empire beige metallic patrol car. So we're waiting for the light to turn green. The media car inches itself out a little bit more. I thought I was going to run it. I'm like, are you kidding me? Takes off. Well, at one point, we're 18 miles over the speed limit. So here we go. Now, this vehicle is one of our partner medias. It's got markings all over the side, but as you know my rule, nobody's above the rule of law. So I light it up and stop it and walk up, and the reporter, the camera person, they're like, "Hi, Sheriff." And the driver's like, "Was I speeding?" Just a little. And we're so sorry. I go, "Is there breaking news in Cochise County? Because my radio's not saying there's breaking news." "No, there's not." I said, let's talk for a few minutes. So we had that corrective behavior time. But again, understand we drive a lot of unmarked units out there, and please be careful. Whether you think it's a cop car or not, drive safe. Please drive safe. We had a bad accident yesterday on Highway 92. We had the highway shut down. And again, it only takes a second. The faster you go, based on perception, reaction time, harder it is to react to these situations. Slow down.
Well, yesterday and today we are under a heat warning. It's going to be a little warm out there, so there's your safety message of the week.
It is. Heat's upon us. The introduction to the monsoon season is here, and those Arizonians, I consider myself an Arizonian, even though I grew up in the Midwest. I've been here for 40 years, but yeah, once you feel heat like this, which also enhances our fires, but also hydrate, everybody, hydrate. I had a doctor's appointment this week, and my doctor made a comment, "Are you drinking a lot of water, Sheriff?" I said, "I do. I drink a lot of Diet Coke." And every convenience store in town is listening to going, "He does. He comes in 3 times a day." But and he goes, "Well, that's not too bad. It's not too bad. But drink water, hydrate, because before you know it, when you start feeling dizzy, you're already in trouble. So be safe out there."
Well, Sheriff Mark Daniels, we thank you for coming and talking to us today.
Grady, Carol, and everybody out there, have a safe weekend. Be safe out there, and we'll talk to you next Friday.
And Carol, who do we have coming in next?
We have Cochise County Emergency Management Director Dan Duchon.
First Watch on KWCD Country, brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
Giving you an inside look to your sheriff's office. Let's go back to First Watch on KWCD.
And it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative, giving you an inside look into your sheriff's office. I'm Grady Butler, and with me is Carol Kappas and our next guest.
Welcome back, Cochise County, and we have with us Dan Duchon. He's Cochise County Emergency Management Director. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, good morning. This is Dan Duchon with Cochise County Emergency Management. So, Carol, thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about what emergency management does.
Yes, thanks for asking. So Cochise County Emergency Management, we have several functions. I'll start discussing the planning we do. We maintain several plans for Cochise County, such as an emergency operations plan, which is how the county would operate during an emergency. Next, we have a hazard mitigation plan where we work with folks around the county, such as professional engineers or public works directors, and we talk about the hazards in the county and what we can do to mitigate them, ranging from wildfires to drought and subsidence causing fissures in the ground. So we do that analysis to learn about what threats or hazards exist here in the county and how we can mitigate those. Next, we also have a community wildfire protection plan where we look at how structures and subdivisions we build over time encroach or get close to what we call that wildland urban interface, and we use GIS and satellite data to see how the trees and brush around those areas has changed over time, and we use that to learn where our greatest wildfire threats are that could affect structures. A lot of emergency management is behind the scenes, so you may not know you're interacting with us, but we send all the alerts to the community during an emergency. And during a large emergency, we're behind the scenes, maybe setting up shelters with the Red Cross and working with other partners.
A lot of your job is resource management as well.
Yes. So we all know we have great first responder partners down here, But if something, an emergency goes past that, first shift or day, then the next day we're ordering resources from out of the county for an extended emergency, and that's where our office would come in.
And after the fact, too. So let's just say you guys have been instrumental in getting the government and the state working with homeowners or property owners in the event that they've had significant damage to flooding, for example, in Old Bisbee when that happened last time.
That's true as well. So if there's flooding or fire, we'll go in and assess the damage and try to pair our residents with whatever programs or resources that would help them rebuild after the fact, what we would call recovery.
So, for example, right now it's really hot out, and I think everybody's noticed that. So is there something you would do in this case, or is it something you just want to get a message out?
Here with the heat warning, I'd just like to get the message out. So the Weather Service did issue an excessive heat warning for today, where we could have highs, 100, 103 around the county, depending on where you're at. And the standard, advice from the Weather Service is avoid outdoor activity if you don't need to, recognize the signs of heat illness, and understand heat stroke is an emergency. You need to call 911. Drink plenty of water, eat light, dress light, take frequent breaks if you're outside, and of course never leave a child and a pet in a car for any time at all. And also just check on your neighbors. We're a community, so if you know your neighbor is vulnerable to the heat and you haven't seen them, or maybe you don't hear their air conditioner running, just check on the people around you that you care about.
And one of the other things that you work closely with and that's hitting us hard already is we're in June and we're in fire season. And we've already had several fires where you've been instrumental with your office to notify the communities of what's going on and how they need to be prepared. So tell us a little bit about fire season and if you got any expectations for how the remainder of this is going to go.
Of course, so we did have several unfortunate wildfires with structures lost already starting in April. One in Whetstone, one in Bowie, and one in St. David. And each of those had some type of primary residence or outbuilding lost to fire, and then it spread into the brush. And all of them are probably 20, 30, 40 acres in size. And unfortunately, each of those was human caused. And we'll say, one spark can start a wildfire, whether it's smoking outside or grinding metal or doing that type of industrial work. That's what caused these last few fires. So we got to be very careful out there, and we got to stop those sources of ignition.
So I want to kind of do this in reverse. We're going to talk about how to sign up for alerts, but I want to tell people why it's important first. So let's talk about Ready, Set, Go. What does that mean to each individual listening today?
Thanks, Grady. So the Ready, Set, Go program is a standardized language and program across the state of how everybody is going to do evacuations, whether it's a sheriff's office in Flagstaff or a wildfire incident commander down here in Cochise County. Where ready is we need to be prepared, and that's something that we do now. We're always in ready, and that's simple steps a family could take where you, one, register for alerts, which we'll talk about. You follow our local sheriff's office or your local city Facebook, social media, X page so you can get those updates. And then you have to understand your seasonal threats where you live. So we got the fire season coming up, so have a defensible space around your house, maybe clear some brush. In the monsoon season, to be ready, know where you can get sandbags and maybe do any roof or window repairs before. In the winter, have that snow scraper ready. And again, as we talked about the heat, follow the weather, stay hydrated, and limit your time outdoors.
And all of that is just the ready part. This is where we need to be every day.
Exactly. So the set, we say ready, set, go. Set means there's a hazard in the area that you need to be following. It's not the time to leave your house and run errands or do other things. You need to be loading your car with an emergency kit, getting your kids and pets ready to go. And if you're able, I would actually recommend to leave the area if it's in set status, because that's less folks that need to evacuate when it's time. And then lastly, we have go, which is just evacuate. There's a danger in your area. It's current and life-threatening, and you should evacuate.
So again, let's reiterate that ready is where we are right now. We should all just be prepared for something happening. Set means there's something in the area and you need to monitor it. And go means get out right now.
Exactly.
That's like the condensed version, but there's still a lot of confusion about ready, set, go. So I just wanted to make sure that is a really good point we drive in.
Yep, and you got it right there, Grady, so thank you.
So then now that we've got ready, set, go, let's talk about how we can get alerts when something is in our area.
So we have some alert software that we can use, and starting at the alert that'll reach the furthest is what we call the emergency alert system, and that could be that would be for a major disaster, and thankfully we haven't had to do that recently. But that's that scrolling banner on your TV. It would break into radio stations, as you know, Grady. Next, we have wireless emergency alerts, which is your cell phone alerts, your Amber, Silva alerts, and I always recommend people don't turn that off on your phone. We try to be very careful about how many we send, and we try not to overdo it, and it's always for a real emergency. So that's the wireless emergency alerts, which will get to your cell phone, and those are geolocated, so we'll draw a square or a circle on a map, and it'll only go to those specific phones in that area. We also have the emergency telephone network, where we can send a voice message to landlines. You may have heard it called the reverse 911. Same thing. So we can hit cell phones and landlines, so we have good coverage with that. The last type of alert that I really want to push is to register in advance, and we've got a QR code and a website for you to do that. I often get asked, well, why should I register if you can already reach my cell phone? The issue is if you're not in your home or you're not in that evacuation area, you won't get the alert. So if you're in town shopping and there's an emergency at your home, you won't get the alert because we only alert the area where the emergency is. Also, you can add your phone number to your loved ones' accounts and addresses. So if you have your grandparents, you may want to register their address and not only add their phone numbers, but yours. So when it's time to evacuate Grandma and Grandpa's house, you get alerted as well.
That's pretty interesting. So this is something that you need to elect to get into in this level. So how do we do that?
So we have a QR code that we're going to post on our social media pages, and there is a website. So it's cochise.myfreealerts.com.
All right. So, and is that the only way to register? Is it just that website for
Yeah,
Cochise
so it's the
County?
website and the QR code.
Okay. So kind of walk us through how difficult this is, because some people are afraid of, you're using the word QR code, that might scare them. But even filling out forms can be daunting. But this is pretty simple.
Yes, you don't have to create an account with a password. You will have to enter your email, phone number, address, and then you can select what types of alerts you'd like. So you can even get more alerts like weather service alerts if you'd like, or you can say, no, I just want my address and phone number and email for evacuations, and then you create an account. It takes 30 seconds.
Excellent. So give us that webpage one more time.
cochise.myfreealerts.com.
Well, Dan, we thank you for coming and talking to us today, and we really appreciate what you do for our community, because you're very behind the scenes. So we want to say thank you out loud to the radio listeners that you are awesome, and thank you for what you do.
Well, thank you both for having me.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
First Watch on KWCD Country is brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
You've been listening to First Watch, brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. Keep up to date. Follow the Cochise County Sheriff's Office on Facebook, and tune in next Friday, 7 a.m. for First Watch right here on